hello. Welcome to Beyond the Edge. I'm your host, Brandy Deutsch.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee DeMayo, your co-host. Light, love, and blessings.
Okay, what a great show we have for you today. Today we're going to be talking about transforming fear to faith. And I love this title. My guest actually suggested this is one of the titles that my guest suggested, and I thought this was going to be a week around fear anyway, because there's just so much happening right now on so many fronts. And I just thought, wow, what a great way to start talking about this in a way that's just genuine and real and very much transformative, right?
Absolutely.
So our guest today is Honor Godin, and she's on the forefront of spiritual evolution in which people integrate their hearts and their minds. She's a powerful catalyst for change, and she can facilitate in minutes what people have been struggling with for years. We know a little bit about that, don't we, Dee?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And she has over 2,000 hours of certifications in the fields of yoga, physical therapy, counseling, coaching, and iridology, which is actually something that's near and dear to my heart. I'll talk about that later and why that is. But also, Honor has studied with pioneers of consciousness like Robert Tennyson Stevens. I don't know if you know about him, but I hope he wants to come on the show sometime. He is just amazing. I love him. And also Faith Bost or Boast.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Boast.
Mm-hmm. Boast and John F. Barnes. So these are amazing people. And she incorporates language codes, body electronics, John Barnes, FR, I haven't heard that. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Enlightened iridology and body language translations into all her programs. And I'm so excited because she's going to talk to us about a retreat that's coming up for her. So I want to give Honor a warm welcome. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Honor.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate both of you, Brandy and Dee Dee, for inviting me on the show. And I love playing with people that are also, they have a shared commitment to raise our world. And as the three of us know, it's an inside job.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So, Honor, how did you get started into this kind of work, into conscious work, and how did this come upon you?
So it was about 15 years ago or more that I had what I call a dark night of the soul. And that lasted a period of several months where I was physically, emotionally, and I'm even going to say mentally sick, not well. I had the American dream and the house and the cars and the kids and, the whole American dream. And I realized I was missing something, and what I was missing was me. And I had a lot of trauma that I had yet to touch. And they say that those of us that are here to support others and to be the leaders in consciousness, that we will have we will have either gone crazy or had a near death experience. And so you can raise my hand on those.
Oh no, I have both of those. I didn't realize the near death experience was a key factor, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so that time period, it may have looked like a breakdown to the outer world, and it was painful. But that pain really woke me up, and I see it as more of a spiritual breakthrough. And I experienced that I was divinely guided to every teacher and every workshop and every modality that I required. And back then I would have made fun of somebody that said divinely guided. So that wasn't the path that I was on. I was on a very aggressive, I had an aggressive way of life where I did a lot of partying and that sort of thing. But as I have this wake up, my soul heard a call. And so I feel I was divinely guided to every modality, everything that I required to support me. And I was on that path for several years when a friend of mine had called me from Austin, and he had said there was a facilitator that was coming to Houston, and he had written a book on language, and bells went off because I knew that language was big piece of my puzzle, but I didn't even know what that meant. And so in the first class that I took, when I went in, I still had a lot of health challenges. I had this psoriasis that had, moved from my scalp to like starting to get on my arms. It was, talk about becoming self-conscious all of a sudden. And then I had allergies, and I was still struggling with some addictions. And so in this one class, he facilitated me on shame, and shame that I wasn't aware that I had come, through the womb with. And when in that one class, and a lot of times I'm careful about sharing this stuff because it sounds, it will expand. It expanded my consciousness. It may be a lot for some people to hear, but from that one class,
it's normal on this show. Pretty normal.
So in that first class, the skin stuff completely went away, because skin is about feeling. So I was armoring up in what I was feeling, which was why I was creating that extra skin. And my skin cleared up. I was taking these really high-powered steroids. I didn't have to take those after that time. I mean, it literally it cleared up completely. And I've had smooth skin since that day, and healthy skin rather. And then I had allergies. I haven't had allergies since that day. I had my mom, my biological mom, who had been struggling for years and was homeless, and I had tried to bring her into my house. If you know anything about people that have gotten to that point, it was a real challenge. After that class, she had moved into her own home and has been in her own home ever since.
Wow.
So I had so many massive miracles in my life and in my relationship and in my physical health, that I said to myself, okay, either this guy's got it all figured out or he's fake, what's happening, but I got to find out. And so, I became a student and a teacher of his. And then after years and years of studying with him, I realized that there were some things that just as from being a woman and having the experience of being female, growing up female, that there were some things that I wasn't going to be able to receive from a man. And so that's when I began doing women's retreat with my friend and coach, Faith, and she and I really began to discover that when there was even one man in the room, that women, for their feeling world, they would adjust themselves, or they wouldn't fully share what was going on. And so since that time, we've evolved and expanded. I remember my teacher said, stand on my shoulders. And I experience we really have. And we have found some new distinctions, specifically in women, for women, and how to raise ourselves, because we took the blame for the fall from grace. So what are we here for? Our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. We're the ones that are going to restore us. And we're restoring the divine feminine. We've been deficient on this left side, on the feminine side. And so we're restoring the divine feminine in ourselves. And also, our men are restoring divine feminine, giving themselves permission to feel and create. And they're as deeply feeling as we are. They've just been told, no, don't do that. So, I'm grateful. And I've ever since I discovered the miracles that are possible, I've stayed and played and continued to expand.
I think something, with you mentioning the fall from grace and that women were blamed, I was thinking about the scriptures that reference that. And to make light of it, first of all, that's the first passing the buck, where Adam said, "This woman you gave me," was the reason. But in fact, the man was the one told by God what to do and what not to do. And it was the man's responsibility to cover the woman, to teach her or show her, the way. So should we as women, as we're raising our vibration or raising our consciousness, or however, to embrace all that we are and can be, should we also embrace forgiveness and grace to them so they can step in away from that? Because they're still running from the accountability.
Hmm.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes, absolutely. What we found, yes, what we found when we were doing our retreats, and we didn't plan it this way, but there was that big women's retreat. Believe it was when Trump was first running. But there was a big women's, not retreat, but women's march. And what we realized is, oh God, it's not going to be the against. If we're in the against of anything, we're going to continue, we're going to give power to that, we're going to keep
Mm-hmm.
feeding it. So it's not an against, men. It's actually remembering union. You and I are one. It's actually remembering partnership. It's not going to be an against. It's going to be, we're sovereign, and we're going to go direct to the power that beats our heart, whatever name we have for that. And men are going to go direct. So instead of having this codependence, or one of them has power over the other,
Mm-hmm.
no, we're each going direct. So yes, absolutely. What you said, it's it's not an against. They're innocent. Men are innocent. We agreed to this. We created it because our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. So we would have had to play in the weakness, or we would have had to play in the submissive or being oppressed, so that we could actually resurrect this and remember what's true and play in our great strength. So we will have had to touch the opposite. So it's all by divine design, and we agreed to it. So yes, absolutely. So much. Our men are innocent.
I don't know about that.
Like I said, they need to know that we have stepped into the place of grace, I believe, so that they can step into the place of accountability for, and that, they also need to be accountable to allow us grace. I mean, it
Yeah.
has to be reciprocated.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I think this is a great conversation, because it's definitely what's up right now. Everybody's kind of talking about this kind of duality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting because in unity, the two sides, they come together, right? And we're talking about Kundalini energy. We're talking about the yin and the yang and how they come together. And when what comes up for me, Honor, when you say, they're innocent, I don't think any of us is innocent, y'all. I don't. I think we come into it going, oh, we're going to shake some stuff up. And we do. You know what I mean? Like, we do. I think it's the spirit that speaks to us right now and says, well, we came into this to learn something and to grow and to do it together. That's just my opinion on that. And innocence is just a very interesting word. I think that's a very interesting word. It's kind of, I think it's charged for me, because I'm like, I don't know about innocence. But that's just me. I think it's a very good and interesting conversation. I love this conversation. I want to move on to, I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but I want to move on to transforming fear to faith. Because this is such an important topic too. The things that are happening in our country right now and all over the world, there's a lot of fear happening, and on so many different fronts. And I think people are unsure and insecure on what to do about that fear, if to do anything. And I'd love to get your perspective on how we can do that, how we can transform our fear to faith. And why would we want to do that?
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Yes. So we're remembering our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. Our greatest weakness is our greatest strength. That's a law, and I've been with so many people, and I have found that is true. It's something we can stand on, and we are wired just in our physiology for fight or flight. The reptilian brain, it doesn't know the difference between having an argument with our spouse or running for our life from a bear. So all the blood rushes to the extremities, no higher functioning at that brain functioning at that point, or very little. And so we're hardwired for fight or flight, fear. And it's going to require we're being asked to evolve right now. We can see out in the world, We're in the shift of the ages. And so there's somewhat of pressure to change right now. And so we're being asked to shift and we're being asked to evolve. And evolution is pressing down. And so what we're being asked is to transcend our wiring. No one said it was going to be easy. When we're hardwired for this fight or flight, we're remembering what's true about our security. So what I will often ask people is, what is it that is your big security? Or what is your name for big security? And some people use the word God, some people use the word universe. So we can look at the universe and what would happen to our universe? What would happen if the planets were in fight or flight? If they were in fear? It would not be pretty. And this fight or flight is what's been creating things like war. And we're remembering, when I say our innocence, we're remembering what's true about ourselves and our soul or our higher self, our great self. We're remembering our true security. So if some people believe we're made in the image and likeness of our creator. I go further than that. And I go, wow, we're the same. We're the same. We have the same powers. And so the power that beats our heart and the power that we are is our power. Are we ever in fear? Is the universe in fear? And I'll ask people that. And there's every once in a while, somebody will say, yes, it is. And I go, oh, now we know the size of your fear. But no, the universe isn't in fear. And nature isn't in fear. That's all in harmony. It's the human thought forms, and now the collective consciousness of fear-based thinking that came from either lineage patterns that we were born into, or came from traumas that we experienced experientially. And so that's what we're resurrecting whenever we can. A lot of the retreats that I do and the modalities I do, they're about finding the suppressed feeling memories that caused us to leave our feelings, that caused us to go into fight or flight. And we're remembering our security. We're remembering we on some level agreed to those experiences. They're actually overlays, and in it contains our great mission. Our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. So I call it the peace that passeth understanding. And how I experience so much security now, and I walk in so much faith. And I've had experiences. One of my greatest fears was that I would be homeless because my mom was homeless. And so that was one of my biggest fears. And of course, we all know whatever you fear shall be upon you. And so I found myself in a situation where I was homeless. And in that situation, I wouldn't call it fear, I'd call it terror.
Yeah.
I had terror. And of course, my physiology was reacting to the amount of fight or flight that I had. I remember my racing heart. I remember going like, I just choose to have a cocktail and a cigarette. And in that moment, I remember asking myself questions like, and I use the word God, but not in a religious sense. You can put whatever, universe, higher self, great self, whatever. But I asked myself, is there anywhere that God is uncomfortable? No. Could God sleep in a car and be okay if God had to? Yes. I began to ask myself these questions. Can God get kicked off the planet? Can anyone get kicked off the planet? No. Is the planet our home? Yes. Anyway, I began to touch my fear instead of bracing for it, instead of anesthetizing it by trying to have a drink or a smoke. I was tempted to. I stayed. And I invited the fear in. Like I said, we were talking earlier about smelling it like a rose, these feelings, we're going to lean into them. And so I gave myself, come on in, fear. And when I was able to stay for my fear, slow down enough and be with my feeling world that is at the level of a 3-year-old child. Be with my feeling world until I restored security within me. And whenever I felt secure and was in such faith, 2 minutes later, a spa called and said, "Hey, do you think you could come stay out here and teach our guests and just live out here for a while?" Yes, I could do that. And that's how it works. That's what we're remembering when it's all an inside job. So when we restore security to ourselves, then our great self can furnish our world. And so I call it the Rock of Gibraltar kind of
Yeah.
security that we're here for.
Yeah, I like that you reference the peace that passes understanding, because most people really don't understand what peace is, and to find that faith level to embrace that kind of peace is just, it's really wonderful. And referencing the fact that God, is not afraid of anything, and realizing we have that same power because we were given that authority. We just finding how it's like a little light bulb goes off when you find that moment. It's an inner celebration, and I wish I could explain it, how to just piece by piece how to get it, and closest I've been able to explain it is what we do, theta. How do you get there? This is how. So
Yeah, exactly. I had a very similar experience to yours, Honor, whenever I was homeless for a time. And what I needed to do in order to stay centered was to download from what we call creator, right? Kind of the same concept, download what it means to have security in my heart inside of me so that I'm not looking for it someplace else in a home. Anywhere. And I'm a Cancer. My sun sign is Cancer, so I was freaking out, right?
Me too.
I
I
couldn't,
love my house.
I couldn't
I
tell
love to
from the
nest.
outside. I could not tell from the outside that you were freaking out.
Oh,
And that's
right.
that's the thing. Having said that too, noticing the outward stillness, that's another scripture I like to use and have embraced with faith is be still
I
and
love
know
it.
God.
Yes.
Stop panicking. And
Yes.
you have to really talk to the mind, do that self-talk and say, shut up, because you're lying. You're talking me out of safety. You're talking me out of blessings and all that. But to be still, to find that inner stillness.
And that's a great point. What you were
Mhm.
talking about is, the mind. Who's in control of our mind? Us. And we're the only ones in control of our thoughts. And our thoughts are generating how we feel. I had studied with John Barnes, and he calls it, so we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Our conscious mind processes at about 40 bits of information, and our subconscious processes at about 40 billion bits of information. So we're this powerful, we have this powerhouse of our subconscious, but we've been trying to do everything through this very small bandwidth of our conscious. And I love, John Barnes calls it channel 3 and channel 5. And so the conscious mind, which he calls channel 3, I believe, he talks about, that's all about fear, worry, doubt, insecurity, what's going on in the outer world. And when we're in what he calls channel 5, our subconscious, that's when we have our intuition, we're in ease, we're feeling, we're creating, we have all this bandwidth, universal size genius to play in. It's only when we go mental, which I had a client call me recently, and I was saying, what's your fear? Oh, it's to go nuts, like my dad was in a mental hospital, and I just said, say the word again, mental hospital. There's a reason why it's called mental hospital, because the people went way mental, and we're remembering, if we stay in feeling, we're gonna, and here's where the challenge comes, is most people, or many people, myself included in this, were hit out, screamed out, beat out of our feeling world, scared out of our feeling world. First time we felt pain or sadness, we go, ooh, I don't want to feel that, it hurts. So we start to anesthetize or leave our emotional body. And so, but we're remembering our feelings are they're our powerhouse. Our feelings are our pathway to this powerhouse of our subconscious. And so we're required to bring online feeling again, and that's what women bring. But we had suppressed it too, going, "Oh, we're going to fit into a man's world, and this is how we do it, and we're going to go mental." So this is what we're bringing back online, and it's glorious. We're in a beautiful time in the world, and we're seeing these signals in the outer. The human discord is getting ratcheted up only because it's shifting. And so our job is, yes, we're going to stay in faith. When Corona first, started happening here, rather, I experienced some fear come up. And then as I started to play with it in consciousness and contemplate it, and what is this? What is a virus? I realized, oh my goodness, the definition of a virus is it doesn't have a life of its own. It hijacks the cell and begins to replicate itself. And I go, oh my God, that's a thought form, a belief system. That's how these limiting beliefs work. They don't have a life of their own. But they try to hijack, and then they begin to replicate those thoughts. And so I said, "Oh my God, this is a thought form. It's a virus." And so
are we going to go over? Excuse me. Are we going to go over?
Oh, yeah. Y'all just tell me, because I get rolling.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't want to start flashing stuff.
I appreciate it. I was just about to ask you about the event that you have coming up, because this really plays into a lot of that. I think that from what I understand, some things that you're talking about, you guys are going to be talking more about that at the retreat.
Yes.
So what do you have coming up? What event is up for you guys, and what's that going to be about?
I love the banner. Can everybody see that? Okay. So I can remember November 5th through 7th. Sometimes when we go into our intuition. Yeah. So when this was going on with Corona, I had led some 6-week call series that I do. I did one for men, women, young people. And on the men's call series I had Mike Thacker and Larry Tran on it. And after the call series, we were going, how can we support people? Because people are so in fear right now. And so this camp was the answer to that. And I said, what is the biggest blessing we can give our people right now? And it said inner security. Remembering our sovereignty. Nothing can enter our temple when we're sovereign and secure. And so that this camp is the answer to that. Camp Satchitananda, Truth, Consciousness, Bliss. And it's about supporting people in finding these belief systems and thought forms that have been having them go into fear, and reminding them that this is all an inside job, and we can do it. We're doing it. We're on this call tonight.
So they can register through yoga-camp.net.
Yes, www.yoga-camp.net.
Okay. Great. And then if somebody wants to reach out to you and get in touch with you, Honor, how do they do that?
So my email is honor@honorschool.com. So again, it's honor, HONOR, at honorschool, SCHOOL.com.
Excellent. And so do you see private clients?
Yes, okay. I do. I work with families. I do corporate coaching, individuals, and I love supporting, and I love supporting families, and I love corporate. I love it all. I love our tools apply in any environment.
Right. Exactly. It's kind of all encompassing at this point.
Yes.
Also, we have what we call a light intercession list. If you know someone, or for our audience members, if you guys know someone who needs some prayers or just some unconditional love, anything sent to you or to them, please just text us their name or message us their name at 805-500-3343, or you can message us at Beyond the Edge TV, and then we'll just add them to our list. I'm telling you, our list is growing. like exponentially right now. So we have people who really are just dedicated to sending light, love, and blessings, just like Dee Dee says every single day. We have our call, our show. We really want to send that out to people. So that goes out to you, Honor, but also to anyone else that needs that right now. So I want to thank you for being on the show. It's been really great hearing about you and what you do, and thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you.
I'm
Thank you,
grateful for the
everybody.
invitation. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Brandy. And I trust that we'll be playing and raising together more and supporting our world together. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Honor. Bye-bye.
Bye.